We are rolling into spooky season a
Woo!
little bit early. It's probably still September by the time this comes out. Whatever. I don't care. I am as basic as they come. I start celebrating Halloween in August. I start celebrating Christmas in November. I'm all here for it. And we're going to kick off spooky season talking about, well, first of all, let's introduce ourselves. Hi, guys. Welcome back to Simply Amazing, the podcast where you listen to two grown women go crazy over a blue man on a page.
With a sexy tail. That's very important, Lisa.
That is very important. And we're not the only ones who love the tail, as per our metrics from that episode. Everybody out there getting a little tail. Everybody getting a little tail out there.
Oh, listen, look, the world is somehow worse than ever. We all want a little tail. We all need some good tail to get us through.
That is tea. That is 100% tea. I'm Lisa again, everybody, the OG Nocturne on Twitter and wherever else. And of course, I'm joined by the spooktacular all in black today. I don't know if that was on purpose or...
Well, this is actually a gray. So, no, I'm kidding. But
okay, girl. All right.
I know. I didn't dress the spooky part. I thought dressing the part would be better for if and when we do a live in October. So then I will go all out spooky and shit. So that our viewers can appreciate my spookiness.
Yes, I love it. I love everything about it. We're going to get into this right now. We're going to talk about the Nightcrawler series from 2000. So
2004 specifically.
Yes, thank you so much for correcting me in front of everybody. I appreciate that.
It's not a correction. It's an edit. It's editing for clarity.
That's true. That is true. Very, very true. No, you're correct. It is from 2004. It is the series that was written by, again, I have the hardest time saying his name, but Roberto Segura.
You really struggle.
I don't know why I struggle so much. I'm so sorry, Roberto. I'm so sorry.
Roberto Aguirre Sacasa. I butchered the middle part.
I'm going to go ahead and put you in charge of saying the name because I can't do it. I don't know what it is about this name that I have so much trouble with. But I can't do it. I don't understand it. And of course, Derek Robertson was the artist on this. And fun little fact about Derek Robertson, he used to hang out around Nightcrawlers way back in the day when it was in its prime. And yeah, he's an old school Nightcrawler fan. For those who don't know, Derek Robertson was very excited to get this job to do the Nightcrawler series because he's an old school Nightcrawler fan. There's a picture that you can find. It's floating online somewhere because he shared it with us on Nightcrawlers. But when he was a child, his mother made him a Nightcrawler costume, and he was Nightcrawler for Halloween once. So, that's one of those things where it's your kid. I'm going to say right now, I fucking love Nightcrawler, but that is not an easy costume to put together for your kid. And if your kid has to want it, it's I would never impose a Nightcrawler costume on my child because I don't want to deal with that bullshit. I don't want to paint a kid blue. I don't want to paint a kid blue and then travel around making sure he's not getting blue shit everywhere. Are you out of your goddamn mind?
A blue morph suit. That's what morph suits are for now. I can't think of the last time I saw somebody painted blue as Nightcrawler, completely. Well, that's face, maybe.
That's true. These days we do have the morph suits. Way back in the day, it was all about the blue grease paint or whatever else. But yeah, no. When he was a kid, his mom made him a Nightcrawler costume, and he dressed as Nightcrawler for Halloween once. It was very, very cute. So yeah, Derek is a big fan, and of course, both Derek and Roberto have gone on to do amazing things after this. Roberto, of course, is been doing Riverdale, and Derek is one of the co-creators of The Boys, and was the artist on the original Boys, which makes so much sense reading this because there are little bits and pieces where there's a lot of gore, and there's just no one who draws gore like Derek Robertson, and I think that's why he was so perfect on The Boys. There's just no one who draws gore like Derek Robertson. But let's get into it. Let's like deep dive, because we're starting it. It just, the issue just starts spooky. It's like a spooky old hospital, and there's a bunch of kids locked in a room for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
None of it makes sense to me. Like, listen, I grew up in New York. You're not going to tell me this is how they treat kids in New York City hospitals. Okay, but that's neither here nor there, because we just immediately like, this series starts on like page 2 with like the murder of 13 children, and it's like, okay, let's get into it.
Cool. Yeah, I think, I mean, those of you that have been listening to this pod for a while, or at least have listened to when we talked about the Nightcrawler 1985 series, this is immediately a humongously different tone from that. It's very creepy and dark. I would wager this is not a normal hospital, and not just for lack of the supernatural stuff happening, but because it definitely feels more like a psychiatric hospital. It doesn't feel like your average regular hospital, whether it's New York or whatever. There's not a lot of people there. It's just those kids and I mean, that's not a normal New York hospital. There's always people left and right, no matter what time of day or night it is.
Well, that's for sure. That's true. And they kind of insinuate that these kids are orphans. Kind of insinuate that they don't have parents.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially the one child that survives. But you're right about the enormous tonal shift with this series versus the 1984 series, because the 1984 series is like very fun and silly, and then this one just starts with child murder like immediately. But it I mean, I read this as it came out back in 2004, and this series is very, very good about being where Kurt's at right now, because like this series came out just after the Austen run, where he basically found out that like he'd been working to become a priest, but it was actually like the evil Catholic Church and all this shit. Like he's going through like a very specific series of transitions, and trying to figure out like where he belongs and what his next step is. And of course there's a whole lot of love interest shit in here, and a whole lot of like, who should I be with? And of course the answer at the end is nobody, I guess. But well, I mean, we'll get to that in 12 issues. But yeah, I gotta be honest, like I love both of them. I love the 1985 series for its fun and irreverence and all that stuff. I love this series because I love the spookiness and the supernatural stuff. I think Nightcrawler should be in so much more supernatural stuff. I mean, he was raised by witches. Like, let him be supernatural.
Yeah. I mean, and I want to say that especially because I know there are a lot of Kurt fans who get kind of, I don't know the right word, but some people don't really like the darker stuff with Kurt because they don't like the exploration of his demonic side and such, which I totally understand and can relate to on a lot of levels. But I like that you added that further background to why this is darker, because they had to meet Kurt where he was at this time. If it was just happy-go-lucky like it was in the 1985 book, it wouldn't make sense for where he was. But one thing I really like about this is that from the first issue, so after you see the case, right, of the kids murdered, and you got one kid alive. Storm ends up talking to Kurt about it, right, and she basically says, I think you should be the one to look into this. And we need to make sure it's not a mutant that did this, because if it is, that could have drastic ramifications we have to deal with, But from that conversation, you can see that even though, yes, this is a darker tone of a story, this is still Kurt. This is # still real Kurt.
Yes.
At least since I've read these first 2 issues that we're talking about. So I just wanted to preface it with all that, because I don't want people to go, oh, it's darker and demons. Nope, I don't want that for Kurt. Even if this isn't for you, that's totally okay, but like, give it a chance, because this does have some good stuff to it.
It has some great stuff. This is it's so fun. I mean, we're not gonna have time to go like panel by panel, page by page into this, but just to kind of go over some of the story, so basically these 13 children die. There's one survivor, and they don't understand how these kids died, because I mean, they were all like ripped apart too. It wasn't even like they were just like, they all just like keeled over. No, they were like ripped apart, these children. And the whole problem is, and the reason that they get Kurt involved, is because the doors were locked. There was no one going in or out, and there was only a 4-minute window for this to have happened. So it's like, was it a teleporter? It had to be someone who could teleport. And they're like, Kurt, we need your help because you teleport. Go figure this out. Which, again, it feels very like just because you can do something doesn't make you the expert in it, or that you can like figure out what it means. So I thought that was kind of like a funny thing, but at the same time, like, give him something to do. Go do something, Kurt. I do love that every single time we see Storm, she is like in bed or coming out of the pool. Like, she is living it up while Kurt is like running around trying to figure out what happened to these poor children. And she is just like, I'm gonna have some champagne and like listen to you whine about children.
Yeah, I think I think in general it's interesting because the setup of the series feels kind of like the opening episode of like a crime television show.
Oh,
Like, it
so
very much
totally
feels
much.
like that.
Yes, very much.
And I think that's part of the appeal with it as well. But it's still very much a supernatural story. It's still very much Kurt. I just read the first 2 issues back to back, so if I go between events of both, I apologize. But I
Yeah,
thought
we can go back and forth. That's fine.
one thing I wanted to mention, that again, I'm not saying this is a huge critique necessarily, but it's just something I noticed. It's still, even though the writing is great in this, the the art at times is still very 2004. In
Yes.
particular, the way with panels, specifically with characters like Storm and then Christine Palmer. Oh my god, the second you see her, it's like, okay, we get it. She's supposed to be a hot woman that you want to fuck. We get it. Like, damn, can you calm down with this? Like, woo, they hammered that on good.
I don't believe that Kurt has met a woman he wouldn't fuck. Like, I do not believe that a woman exists that Kurt wouldn't fuck at least once. You know what I mean? I don't know. We'll see. But
Even
I
our
guess we
guy
won't
has
see.
limits. He has morals, and he also has eyes.
I don't know, man. You get enough fear in the guy, and I feel like he'll take anyone for a ride. I don't see.
If they give him the love and affection he wants, that's the
True. He
key.
does want
And
the
that
love and
is
affection.
something that Dr. Christine Palmer does well, and it's not maliciously, at least so far, but I don't think it will be malicious at all. She's very kind, she's very forthcoming, and even later on, I think it's issue 2 where she even finally, starts trusting Kurt even more so, and she pulls him to the side and shows something more that happened to those kids that were killed. Like, there were other things that happened
Yes.
to those bodies that we don't start out knowing. So yeah, Kurt's very much a sucker for the women that, are very smart and intelligent, but also really trust him and create that space, because not only does he appreciate that, but he wants to do that for them, I think.
I want to go. Now I'm going to correct you, girl, because she's actually Nurse Palmer in this, not doctor. She's only doctor
Look,
in the
I
Doctor
want her
Strange
to be a
movie.
doctor. I'm
No, I do
sorry.
too.
I promoted her.
No, I do too. I love Dr. Christine Palmer, but she's only Dr. Christine Palmer in Doctor Strange.
Ugh,
So,
right now she's the night nurse and the ridiculous outfit. Yes, you're correct. But
yes.
I think that, okay, listen, here's the thing too. Mean Car's Nurse Christine Palmer, he's like, I like this. But if he met her as Dr. Christine, exactly. But if he met Dr. Christine Palmer, they would already be sleeping together within the first 3 minutes.
God, if he met Dr. Christine Palmer, like, maybe I was just raised by someone who was like, marry a doctor, because like, he'd marry her in a second. Come on. But I want to point out, so he goes, so in the beginning, he goes to meet up with Barney, who's the guy who left for 4 minutes. He's like a janitor or night security guard. I don't know. And what I love is like Kurt shows up and Christine's like, this is Kurt Wagner. And Barney's like, oh my God, Nightcrawler. And I'm like, Kurt, you forgot your hat. Clearly. I mean, where's your incognito costume? I mean, everybody just recognizes you now. That's just a little going back to our little She-Hulk episode. And then we also meet Dr. Childs, which, I mean, his name's Dr. Childs. He's taking care of children. Okay, that's interesting enough. I guess if your last name is Baker, you're going to be a baker. So, and he seems very, I don't know, he's just creepy and weird and yeah, but we finally meet Seth, we get to sit with Seth, and Seth doesn't talk. He won't talk. He can't. Seth is the kid who survived all the other kids dying, and he won't talk. And so Kurt's like, there's a lot of weird shit going on. At the end of the first issue, basically, Barney, the guy who was supposed to be watching the kids, gets killed. He goes to see Dr. Childs at the Dakota building. Oh, we need to do a deep dive into the Dakota building in just a second. Seriously though, he goes to see Dr. Childs at the Dakota building and is like, take your money back. I don't want it. And Dr. Childs somehow makes this guy combust into some kind of
seemingly,
hellfire. Yes.
Right? We assume it's Dr. Childs, not only because of how we see it on the panel, but because Barney, the janitor, who, walked away from his shift. That was the big thing, is that this janitor who never left his shift while he was on duty with the children late at night, the night that the murders happened, he left his shift. And so then we see here that he's saying, this isn't worth it. I can't believe I did this. Like, I never wanted to do this. And he's giving money back. So it's almost like Dr. Childs paid him off. And then he tries to give it back. And then Dr. Childs gives a little tiny monologue of, well, thought you'd be useful, but And then, Barney starts he spontaneously is combusting. He's on fire. And then Kurt tries to get him to stop by teleporting him into a lake, but he keeps burning. And as he touches Kurt, Kurt starts to burn. So then Barney, being the good person that he is, and we get this narration from Kurt kind of as well about it, he ends up letting go of Kurt and letting himself burn away instead of taking Kurt with him.
Yes, which, I mean, I love Barney. Poor Barney. R.I.P. Barney, guys. R.I.P.
I mean, seriously.
He tried to do the right thing. The big thing was, and again, I think a big part of why I love this series so much is because I love true crime, and there's so much of that kind of crime and deduction and detective work, and there's that whole thing about that 4 minutes, like Kurt sitting with Barney, and he's like, in 12 years, you have never taken a break. Like, you've never taken an unscheduled break in 12 years, and suddenly the one time you do, this happens. So it's a little interesting, but clearly there's more going on here, and we'll learn more as we get into the next couple issues. Got to talk about the Dakota Building. So for those of you who are not familiar with the Dakota Building, it is a real building in New York City. It's an apartment building. It has been known for years to be like a place where a lot of celebrities live, but it has a really dark history. It's kind of like known for being haunted, known for being super creepy. Rosemary's Baby was filmed there in the 60s. Like that really creepy building in Rosemary's Baby, that's the Dakota Building. But most famously, the Dakota Building is where John Lennon was killed. That's where he was walking into the Dakota Building when Mark David Chapman shot him, because John Lennon and Yoko Ono were living there at the time as well. So like, it's a super famous building in New York City that is like really well known. And I have too much faith in Roberto. I mean, I don't think it's not a coincidence he chose to use that building in here, because specifically the ties to Rosemary's Baby is what it makes me feel like, or what it makes me think of, because we have these children, we have these seemingly demonic forces, and then of course you have that story that was told of a woman who inadvertently fucks Satan and gives birth to his child. So if you haven't seen Rosemary's Baby, guys, you got to go see it. It's a great fucking movie. It's creepy as fuck, but it's a great movie. But that basically brings us to the end of the first issue. We go to the next issue, and we start out the next issue, of course, with poor Barney is dying, and Kurt had to let him go, unfortunately. But then Kurt is kind of understanding that there's more at play here than what he really understands, and he needs more help. And the help he needs is more of a mystical help. So he goes, where does he go? Where does he go for his mystical help?
So Storm recommends Stephen Strange. I just want to preface this because there were other options given, okay? But Kurt being Kurt had to think with his dick again. I'm just saying that's what happened here. He could have gone to Stephen Strange. That would have been perfectly acceptable and logical and probably a right choice there. And not that this was a wrong choice, but he decides, let me go see, as he says on the page, by the way, my ex-girlfriend, also my foster sister, Magic, aka Amanda Sefton. So, of course, he's got to go back and see her after all this time that he has not seen her.
I mean, come on. We've all been there, right? We've all been there where it's like, you've been broken up for a while, but you still are kind of like hung up on them. And like, you're like, oh, wait a minute. Did they leave a shirt here? Let me call them and find out if they left a shirt here or not. You know what I mean? Like, this is what this seems to me. It's like this series deals a lot with his relationships. It is very heavy on that. So it makes sense that they would introduce Amanda this early. I mean, before we get into Amanda, we got to talk about Brad and Roger, because Brad and Roger are the fucking standouts of this entire series. Brad and Roger should have their own series. I mean, two gay snakes who freaking like protect Limbo. What is not amazing about that? What is not amazing
True.
about that?
It's true. Hashtag Brad and Roger rights. I mean, they were fun. Um, and
And
I don't know.
they're just like, he smells like a demon. He smells like, so first of all, he doesn't smell like a demon. He's not a demon, asshole. Second of all, like, they're just like, who is this asshole? Like, why does he want to see our mistress? And it's like, she's like, all right, Brad and Roger, enough. All right, get a mimosa,
I
go to the
mean,
back,
listen,
enjoy.
from the second she appears on that balcony and like, what is this? Like a kind of nightgowny kind of look. And she's got her hair flowing and she goes, that's enough, boys. I'm like, yeah, no shit. Kurt's about to fall on his knees already. Like he's ready from the start. He's like, Amanda, hi, you look wonderful. Like, and she's just like owning it. Honestly, I'm attracted to her at this point. Kurt, I'll take her off your hands. I got you, man.
I'm a reformed Amanda Sefton person. That episode we did with Connor where I had to read the Magic series. I mean, I say I had to, I enjoyed it. But like, I am reformed. I still don't like them together. I'm still not a fan of them together because of course Wanda is his one and only. But I am reformed. I enjoy Amanda Sefton. However, I believe that Brad and Roger's job is not just to guard Limbo, but also to give her time when Kurt shows up. So she's like, oh, fuck, he's here. Okay, let me put some makeup on. Let me put on my hottest dress. Like that, you know, that fuck you dress that you wear the first time you see your ex after you've broken up, where it's like, this is what you're missing out on, asshole.
I agree, but I don't think it was more like, oh, I need like this big, because I mean, here she looks like she has the look of like, oh, I just rolled out of bed, but she's clearly put together. She didn't just roll out of bed, but she's gotten this like nice flowy nightgown that looks like she wore it to bed, but she didn't. She's got the flowy hair where it's like, oh, it looks like you got out of bed, but no, she did it up like that. And she's just, I don't know, like, to me here, she has Emma Frost energy, low-key, and I'm vibing with it. Like, honestly, here for it.
Oh, no, total Emma Frost energy right here. And it's her whole attitude the entire time just reeks of like, yes, I'm sexy. Yes, I'm hot. Yes, you could be fucking me right now. But you know what? You're not gonna. You're not gonna.
Right. And it's so funny because like as they sit and talk, she basically calls him out for like, but why don't you actually visit? And he goes, too much history between us. And she's like, okay, but like, why now? Like, it's so funny because the next page she talks about how he's an open book, yet she still feels the need to ask him all these questions. And so to me, that makes me feel like she's not asking these questions because she doesn't know the answers. She's asking these questions to get him to say them, as if she knows he doesn't want to say them, but he needs to admit them. It's again, it's very much an Emma Frost kind of game and active dominance here, I would argue.
And on this page, it has one of my favorite quotes of all time in any comic book, which is, some people use Google to keep track of their exes. Other people use crystal balls. I use both.
I laughed so hard at that. I was like, girl, you just full and admitted like you're not anywhere near over him either. What the hell?
No. Well, here's the thing. Partially, it's probably like, she's not over him, but partially also it's probably like Margali being like, what's your brother up to? Like, just keep tabs on him, see what he's doing. Because like Margali's older, and like, you know that she's the kind of mom who asks how to attach an image to the email like every time she needs to do it, even though you've shown her like 15 times, and it's like, my God, okay, mom, like, this is how you do it. And it's like the next time she needs to attach an image, she's like, hey, I need to attach an image. How do we do that again? And it's like, oh my God, that's Margali. So Margali's not using a crystal ball to follow Kurt. She's fucking telling Amanda to do it, to be like, just check up on him and make sure he's not, like doing anything that's going to destroy things, or we're not going to have to clean up after, or whatever. But,
yeah, I wanted to, Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go.
Well, I just wanted to talk more like as the conversation progressed, because so Kurt starts, because she brings up that she knows about the little boy that survived and about the murders, and that she knows that's what he's mostly there for. And he starts talking about more, and she's listening, but then she realizes that he's talking about the child, playing with a piece of rope that's knotted. And I think it's just so funny here because while she's actually saying something here that's extremely helpful, extremely important to the plot, because Kurt immediately takes this information right after this encounter and uses it and it works. But as she's talking about how like, oh, well, people can not, use spells and put them in knotted rope essentially to keep them from talking and things like that. Whether it's themselves or others. And so she's explaining all this, but it's just the way that they've drawn these panels with her standing on the bookshelves and looking at him, and then when she's even not looking at him,
she's so sexy.
Right. And the way they like they bold the word binding and things like that. I'm like, there's a lot of sexual undertones in this scene that's actually incredibly helpful and important. So there's a whole actual reason for this, but they also, to me, underline so much sexual tension. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this man, he really wanted to ramp up the fucking tension between this two and the story. Like he capitalized on this shit.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. I love that they talk about the nodding because that is something like in the occult. Like people can do spells like that. It's a real, not, I mean, I don't want to call it a real, specifically real thing, but it's like, it's not like he made this up. Like knotting ropes and stuff is like a way people can do spells. If you're into that kind of thing. And then we have Kurt leaves Amanda, but she'll be back, guys. She's coming back. Don't worry.
Oh no, she will be.
This is not the last we see of her.
No, definitely not. Especially after the last thing she says is, so I'll tell you about binding spells if you'll tell me about Nurse Palmer, was it?
Girl, tell him about it, stud. Oh God, he should have fucked her. Anyway, we're gonna get into that, but oh my God. Kurt now, having learned his magical stuff from his sister / lover / ew. She like again, I do like Amanda now.
You are reformed. Still. Get with the program, Lisa. I thought you were reformed.
I can like Amanda and still not like the fact that they're fucking siblings. Like literally fucking siblings. So anyway, he's learned about magic. He's come to see Seth and he talks about the rope and the knots, and he unknots one of them and it's like, now you can talk. And Seth's like, yeah, guess what? I know magic, bitch. But basically he doesn't get a whole lot of information out of Seth before Dr. Childs shows up with Kathy Bates.
Kathy Bates.
No, but let's be real. Derek Robertson very clearly uses like real life people as like models in his art. Like as you're going through this, like definitely he used Haley Joel Osment for Seth. You can see different characters that he's kind of touched on. And this looks like Kathy Bates. I just can't. It's Kathy Bates. So she shows up and she's like, by the way, I'm actually Seth's aunt. I know you didn't even know you had an aunt, Seth, but I have a whole ridiculously long story about why you don't know you have an aunt, but suddenly you do, and I'm going to take you in, boy. So now it turns out that, everything seems to be wrapping up. Seth is going to go home to a good family, except when Kurt looks back, Kathy Bates is a monster with big horns.
That's such a cool panel. Okay, listen, I know it's just typical like horror stuff and a lot of you won't be impressed by it, but I'm always impressed by this shit. And I'm one of those people that I don't watch most horror movies, like ones with jump scares and stuff, because I can't do it. But like shit like this, I love to read in a comic. Like I love horror comics. So being able to see that panel when he's walking away, but then he turns around and there's a big demon behind the kid, and then he looks back and looks again for a second, and then it's just Kathy Bates again. Like holy shit, it's just so cool to me. Like I love little shit like that.
I totally agree. It's a very effective type of jump scare, and but what makes it even more effective, and the thing is like when it's on the page, it's a little bit different because we can go back and look at it again. But like Kurt in the moment, he isn't sure what he saw, like because he thought he saw a monster, but then he looked again and it was Kathy Bates again, and it's like but he's doubting himself because I mean that's crazy. He heard. Like he's not sure if he saw that monster. He's not sure if his eyes are playing tricks on him because that's crazy. Monsters don't exist. That's not real. This is not real life. So yeah, like I love that because he's not sure what he saw, but we as readers know what we saw because we can go back and look at it again. But
yeah, I think it's funny too though because I mean Kurt's been to limbo and so he knows monsters as a loose term are real. But yeah, I think it's more like, because again, his first reaction to seeing a monster behind a child would be to get that kid away, right?
Yeah.
But then when he looked back, it wasn't a monster or didn't look like it, so he couldn't react because he couldn't justify being like, get the fuck away from this kid, and it's just looks like whoever the fuck his aunt's supposed to be, like. So I think that was it there too. He was trying to figure out how to react, and then he just didn't know how to react, regardless of whether it was a monster or not.
Yeah. And so Christine Palmer shows up and she's like, hey, I wear sexy white outfits too. But actually, she wants to take him down to the hottest place in the hospital, a place where everybody gets to go, the morgue.
That's where everybody likes to fuck. No, I'm kidding.
Everybody loves to be in the morgue.
Is this Grey's Anatomy?
Right? So basically, she's like, hey, I got something to show you downstairs. And he's probably like, show me, girl. And she's like,
I bet you do.
She's like, no, it's not like that. It's not like that. It turns out, actually, that all the children, their bodies are now ashes. They have just been completely incinerated. And Kurt's like literally, that's the sound he's making is in that last panel, because so it's like, I don't know what's going on. Nobody knows what's going on. Christine's like, do you know? And Kurt's like, but like, what? Why do you think I would know? I'm not a doctor. Like, you're a nurse, girl. You go run a diagnostic. I'm just the freaking blue guy.
Listen,
so yes.
I think he just needs to call up Amanda. I think, honestly, I don't think the inclusion of Amanda in this is accidental or
no,
just
it's not.
for the relationship stuff. Like, let's be real. This is gonna have to do with some shit from Limbo, like some big demon or something.
Oh, honestly, I haven't read this series in a long time, and like I do have memories of a lot of it. I really can't remember who the big bad is in this and why. I will say, so let's do this. We're going to do a quick coming up on, because I'm going to go ahead and mention some of my moments that are coming in this series that you guys are going to look forward to. Number 1, the beard does make, I think it's like it's a very early appearance in this series. So you want to
possible first appearance of the beard. Oh my God, guys.
That's true. Number 2, Amanda gets the shit kicked out of her, and Margali goes mama bear. And that's also good. Mephisto shows up, and I won't spoil that, but Mephisto shows up, and that's a pretty phenomenal moment as well. Kurt's birthday is celebrated.
Aw, baby.
Kurt and Christine, we'll see what happons. I don't know what's going to happen. What's going to happen between Kurt and Christine? Will they? Won't they? Is she going to go marry Dr. Strange? Turns out.
No, we're busy.
No, I like that. No, we're busy. No.
We're busy.
We're busy. That's like the best response to that, because it's so nonsensical, but at the same time makes so much sense to me. You know what I mean? It's a response that shouldn't make any sense, and it makes no sense, but still I'm like, no, I'm totally feeling exactly what you're saying. So Christine, will they, won't they? I guess we're gonna find out. Also, Storm comes back. And there's a rat guy. There's a lot coming.
There's a lot of shipping you can do in this series. So many.
There is. This series also. Okay, I am not going to tell you what this is, but if you follow me on Twitter or know me in life at all, you'll know what this is. This series also has the best moment for Beast ever. And we'll get to that when we get to that.
I love it for us. I love it. And yes, if you're here for the horror stuff, you've got it. If you're here for the supernatural stuff, you've got it. If you're here for the rom-com kind of drama, here for it. If you ship him with Storm, you can do that in this series easily already.
Absolutely.
If you ship him with Amanda, you can do that. If you ship him with Christine, you can do that. I mean, you can just do anything with this series, honestly, other than make him a pirate. But I mean,
well,
maybe. Maybe I just spoiled something I didn't know, guys. Maybe.
No, a pirate ship does show up in this series. I'm just trying to remember. It's a very small thing, but I'm just trying to remember if it becomes bigger or not, or if there's more to it. I can't remember. But there is a pirate ship in this series. So there you go. Exactly. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining us for another fabulous episode of Simply Amazing. Lauren, tell them where they can find you, girl.
So if you don't want to just, throw a tracker on me and stalk me like a normal person, you can find me on Twitter at friendlymBHDBI, and anything and everything else I do there is there. So just bother me there, and be sure to follow the Simply Amazing Twitter as well, because we have lots of Simply Amazing things to post on there. Okay.
We do. Oh, okay. Big news for everybody out there. If you have not already, which by the time this episode comes out, it's been a few weeks since this happened. And so what the hell are you waiting for? The Hasbro, the Yeet is for sale. It is officially for pre-order. So you can pre-order your Yeet.
I didn't know this. Lisa, send me the link. What the hell?
Girl, I tweeted it.
What send it to me?
Okay. Do you
Blame
not
the
follow?
algorithm.
Do you not follow simplyamazingpod.com? Okay, then I don't understand what happened. I don't know what happened, girl, because I tweeted it. So yeah,
Jesus Christ.
Go do it now because
I'm going.
Go do it. Okay, good. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us for the last episode of Simply Amazing That Ever. No, but seriously, everybody gotta go. You got to go order the Yeet. And what I mean by that, of course, is the Hasbro X-Men 93 Mystique figurine that comes with a baby Nightcrawler that you can throw over a cliff. Any cliff you want. You can just pick a cliff and throw it up. You can actually it doesn't have to be a cliff. You can do what my brother used to do when we were kids, and he would steal my Barbie Corvette, put his wrestlers in it, and drive it off the stairs, which was basically a cliff. So anywhere you want to yeet that baby, yeet it. Listen, we still believe in choice here at Simply Amazing. All right, we still believe in choice. If you want to yeet it. Just aim far. Otherwise, they come back.
I'm looking at it right now on the pre-order site, and listen. So they have a shot of the Mystique figure holding the Kurt baby, right? But her face is so fucking evil. She looks like she's contemplating where to throw him.
Well, that's it. She's holding the baby, but like in that, it's like in that way that you hold something that you just don't want. Like it's like as if you were holding some garbage that you need to get rid of immediately.
I just can't deal with this, guys. Go pre-order it. Maybe we'll have to have a yeet contest. I don't know how we'll do it, but we'll have to have a yeet contest.
My God.
That'll be our big anniversary episode. We'll bring back people that bet on the show, and we'll have a yeet contest.
The other thing we need to consider, girl, is one day when we have Simply Amazing Con, the convention for Simply Amazing people. We will have a yeet contest. We'll get little blue baby dolls, and everybody will just like get to throw them, and whoever throws it the furthest gets to keep the baby.
Even after you've thrown it and destroyed it because it hit the ground and broke, but it's all yours now.
You get all of them now. You get all the blue babies are all yours. They're enjoy. All right. Well, okay. Now we have gone way off the rails, so let's get back to it. Thank you all for coming, everybody. You can find us at simplyamazingpod.com. That's got all our socials. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We're on Twitch. We got a YouTube channel. We ain't done anything with it yet, but we got one, so we're gonna do something eventually, I'm sure. What else do we have? Facebook, don't forget the Facebook. So come find us on all of that. All of our socials are at simplyamazingpod.com. You can also find transcripts of some of the shows we're working on, again, more of them out there. Other information. If you have any ideas of anything you'd like to talk about with Kurt, if you want to come on the show, please, we'd love to have you. So please let us know. You can go ahead and submit through the website. We have a little submission form there, as well as other things. If you are out there thinking to yourself, you look out the window and you see your two gay snakes talking to your ex-boyfriend, girl, run a comb through that hair, put on some lip gloss, find your sexiest nightgown, and then like pour yourself a glass of wine and be like, I'm here, girl, what you want, because you are simply amazing.